Hi everyone, Evie here, the Greek goddess of great reading. Today I'm reviewing The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. Hazel and her brother Ben live in Fairfold, where humans and the folk exist side by side. Tourists drive in to see the lush wonders of Faerie, and most wonderful of all, the horned boy, but visitors fail to see the danger. Since they were children, Hazel and Ben have been telling each other stories about the boy in the glass coffin, that he is a prince and they are valiant knights, pretending their prince would be different from the other fairies, the ones who make cruel bargains, lurked in the shadows of the trees and doomed tourists. But as Hazel grows up, she puts aside those stories. Hazel knows the horned boy will never wake, until one day he does. As the world turns upside down, Hazel has to become the knight she once pretended to be. But as she's swept up in new love with shifting loyalties and the sting of fresh betrayal, will it be enough? Children can have a cruel, absolute sense of justice. Children can kill monsters and feel quite proud of themselves. A girl can look at her brother and believe they're destined to be a knight and a bard who battle evil, who might someday find and even fight the monster at the heart of the forest. This is my new favorite top book of 2015 for sure. I never actually read Holly Black's The Spiderwick Chronicles, which she writes with another author named Tony Ditterlizzi, I believe, but this book is a great standalone, and I love that it's a standalone. I think I've mentioned this before, that sometimes I find it annoying when authors begin really long series when I kind of just wanted to read the one book. This book was a great standalone. It had a lot of building momentum, and it wrapped itself up in a way that all the loose ends were tied, and there could be a sequel, but there doesn't need to be a sequel. And that's kind of a hard thing for authors to get. A lot of times we are left as readers in a lurch because the cliffhanger that is left for us, we wonder what certain characters are going to do after the end of the book. But in this one, it was perfect. She finished it beautifully. When I first started reading the book, I was a bit perplexed because these humans live alongside fairies and they act like they are real and that they know they exist. And there's this boy, this fairy boy, who has horns, who is in a glass coffin in the middle of the forest, much like Snow White in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And he's just in the forest, and kids from the high school who have known that this boy was here their entire lives will just have parties in the forest right around his coffin, essentially, and will go on top of it and drink and dance and party. And it's just so weird that they can exist side by side like this and it seems normal to them. It was very strange to read that at first because in your own head you just think to yourself, this is ridiculous, this isn't real, this could never be real. But these citizens of this town are used to it, and this is how they interact with these fairies, just side by side. They respect them, but most of the time they don't think anything bad is going to happen to them because they are citizens of this town. They aren't tourists, so they're not being stupid and going into the heart of the forest. So the horned boy awakes. We find out his name is Severin, and there are many things that happen after he has been woken up that sort of shift in the world of Faerie. For a long time, everything was pretty peaceful in their town of Fairfold. Some bad things might have happened to tourists, but the citizens just attributed it to the fact that they were being stupid and shouldn't have been out in the forest late at night, or whatever the case may be. But after the horned boy, Severin, wakes up, things start to shift, and citizens of the town also start being attacked. And at first, no one knows why, and I'm not going to tell you why they are, but the story behind Severin and the Alder King, who is kind of like the fairy king of this area, this part of the forest, and Hazel, who has some role to play, and her brother Ben, and the changeling Jack, who comes into their lives. Jack is really cool because he's a changeling. His elf mother, when he was young, switched him with another baby in town named Carter. But Carter's mother knew that the changeling was not Carter, so she summoned the elf mother there and made her give her son back. But she also didn't give back the changeling son because she said to her that she didn't deserve to have her son if she could be without him for more than an hour. Jack is a changeling who looks just like his brother, but is not really his twin or his brother, but he has lived there his entire life. And he's a really cool aspect of the fairy world because when everything bad starts happening, everyone starts blaming him because he's the only link they have between that world that is right in front of them and constant reminder that this world is real. And that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because it gives them the sense that they have to remind themselves constantly that fairies are real and they will attack you and they will harm you if you do not respect them. At the same time, his constant presence also ignites some sort of mob riot behavior in them when things start to go badly. It becomes a mystery at one point in the novel. Near the end, Hazel's trying to put the pieces together to save the day, because in the stories when she and her brother would play pretend when they were younger, she was always the knight and he was the bard, because he has been blessed with the gift of music from the fairies, so he can sing by enchant the fairies and play any musical instrument and enchant them. So Hazel is the one who has to save the day. But everyone thinks that it's the horn boy who has to save the day. And I like that it's not the prince, again, in this book, who has to save the day. It's Hazel, who is a knight, which is great because knights aren't generally girls. But in this court, in the fairies' court, Hazel is Sir Hazel. She is a knight, even though she is a girl, and even though she is very young. She is strong, and she may have some flaws, as most heroines do. In this story and in her story of the Horned Boy and the Alder King's court, she is the hero, and she will do whatever she can to save the day. I highly recommend you guys pick up The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black at a bookstore near you. I definitely enjoyed it, and it will be, so far, my top read of 2015. I absolutely love fairies, and the fairies in this book, not like fairies in Fern Gully or Thumbelina or anything like that, just because this is what fairies actually are like. They are cruel, they are mean-spirited, and they try to trick you into giving away very important things. If any of you remember the story of Rumpelstiltskin, that's kind of what a fairy is supposed to be like. You have to give up your child or your voice or years of your life. And this is just a great reminder of how evil they actually are, when a lot of us sort of believe that they are this fantastical other world that is something we really want to go to, but in reality we're better off in our own world. So moral of the story is almost that you should be happy with what you have and not necessarily long for bigger and better things, because bigger and better things might be dangerous. I'm not saying don't dream, I'm just saying that sometimes what we want isn't always good for us. So pick up this book at a bookstore near you. If you guys have read The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. My Twitter and my website are linked in my bio below, as well as the music that is featured in my videos by my friend Lenny Papadopoulos. I've also linked his SoundCloud page below. Hit subscribe if you guys like what you see, want to see more videos by me. I'm Evie, the Greek goddess of great reading, and until next time guys, keep reading.